Hello and welcome once again to Red Gaming Tech. My name is Amata. Today is the 29th of April, and this time I'm bringing you some news regarding Final Fantasy 15 episode Duscae, as we have the results of the feedback from people. Now, as you probably remember, half the reason for Square actually revealing the game, or releasing it should I say, was not only to of course do a little bit of a teaser and show us the result of all their years of hard work, but it was also to get some feedback from people and actually improve the game based upon that feedback. Now, I'll link the source article in the description below this video, as there is huge amounts of information. I'm not going to go through all of it here because, well, there's responses broken down by region, and obviously a ton of comments from the director Hajime Tabata that I'm not going to go through with you here. I'm going to go through what I would call the best parts, the most pertinent information. But if you want to read it all, check out the description below and you'll see it just there. Anyway, the number one issue for a lot of people is that the lock-on, well, was pretty annoying to use. It wasn't keeping the targeted enemy in the centre of the screen, and if the enemy moves, which it does, as of course the combat isn't in a sort of locked-in arena anymore, the camera was basically not following it properly most of the time, which I found personally really annoying. And here's what Tabata had to say regarding that. Quote, "Honestly, there were many instances where we also felt that the targeting system wasn't behaving as we had envisioned. We do take it seriously that this was the number one criticism. Right after the demo was released, our team was able to play it from a consumer standpoint, and concerns about the targeting immediately came up. The most internal criticism was that the targeted enemy would go off screen." Now, one of the big concerns for people, especially from North America and Europe, was actually the frame rate drops. Now, the frame rate was pretty inconsistent in the demo. Yes, it is a demo, but it so of course was a concern. If you haven't actually seen our frame rate analysis, as we did do a full analysis, it will also be linked in the description below this video. Most of you have probably seen it by now, as it was of course put up quite some time ago, but just in case, it is there. Anyway, here's what Tabata had to say regarding the criticisms on the frame rate. He said, quote, "As for the frame rate, that is a serious matter. We consider it a high priority issue. If we simply reduce the number of objects that need to be rendered and computed, like reducing the number of monsters or limited AI behavior, we can reduce the processing load on the CPU. Reducing the number of processors would naturally result in a stable, higher frame rate, but achieving a high frame rate by doing so isn't going to satisfy our fans. So, the only option is to persistently optimize. Currently, the bottleneck during battles is the VFX and the UI. As we head to mastering, we'll probably repeat the process of optimizing as much as we can and reevaluate how objects are being rendered." And kind of related to that topic as well, he was asked if full HD with 30 FPS was still being targeted, and here's what he had to say regarding that. Quote, "We are working towards full HD. It's not just me, the engineers and artists are all aiming for full HD, but from hearing the honest feedback from players who tried the demo, it becomes apparent that the frame rate is more important than the resolution. It's pretty easy to understand actually. Prioritizing resolution by sacrificing frame rate is presumably unacceptable for our game, so our highest priority will most likely be the frame rate. Based on that, our approach will be to increase resolution as much as we can. So, ultimately, this may be the order of priority in which our decisions will be made, but we're not raising the white flag just yet. We are aiming for full HD. And I kind of have to agree with him. Obviously, it's better to have frame rate and resolution as high as possible, but if you had to choose one over the other, I think most people would go for frame rate over resolution. All the pixels in the world don't matter if the game runs like hell. So, yeah, definitely agree with that statement there. Obviously, it's better to have both, 1080p 60 or 30 with the consoles most likely, but if that's not possible, then of course frame rate, in my opinion at least, is more important than resolution. Now, the next thing I want to touch on here is something that actually was one of my second biggest bugbears on the title, and I will discuss my first biggest in a moment, but this one is the ability to cancel attacks by evading. A lot of people requested that this be added in, and I can only agree, 150%. Basically, a lot of the time I would attack and then an enemy would attack like a second later, and I would literally be stuck attacking and get my arse handed to me because, well, I didn't predict his move or whatever. So having some sort of cancel would be amazing. And Tabata definitely wants that added in. And here's what he had to say regarding this. Quote, "We did have plans to make attack cancelling evades a feature," and then he asked his staff why he didn't put that in the demo. And then he went on to say, "So simply put, we would have had to work in action cancellation frames into the motion and fine-tune that, but for various reasons we couldn't invest that much time into the demo. And that's why it wasn't included. Now that we have delivered the demo, we're already able to cancel attacks. It's already in that for sure." And then he went on to say, "So you can't cancel out of every single attack, so this is going to require some strategy and technique. I'm not fully aware of all the details at the moment, so I'll go over this once we've locked in the final features. So basically, you won't just be able to cancel willy-nilly. There will be some strategy to it. Perhaps it will use MP or something like that. But it will be implemented in some fashion, which is better than what we had." Now, my first biggest bugbear, at least from the reading that I've done here, isn't even mentioned. But it might possibly come under a MP, because there's lots of comments regarding how the MP actually works and how it's replenished and things like that. But I actually found the stasis feature really annoying. Now, fair enough, you can't use any special attacks when you're out of MP. That makes perfect sense. Got no problem with that. But how Noctis would kind of bend down like, oh no, I'm out of MP. That was really annoying and really broke the flow of otherwise fast-paced gameplay. Now, it possibly was just me and that I was too trigger happy and needed to actually keep a closer eye on my MP. That's entirely possible, but I still feel this breaks the flow, and hopefully that will be addressed in the whole MP concerns, as there are quite a few comments from Tabata regarding that. As I said, the full article is in the description below this video. I have only really scratched the surface, but these are some of the more important things, some of the things that I definitely agree with. Not to say I disagree with the rest, but these are the things I want to discuss the most. Anyway, that's me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.